Good day everybody, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to start to fabricate a DIY fire extinguisher mount that's going to go into my Vortec LS swapped 2003 Jeep TJ. In Canada, the style I'm going to build, you can purchase for roughly about $80 Canadian. But I'm going to build one for well under $30. So it's really going to be made out of 5 pieces of metal. So I calculated base roughly about 6 inches. So I'm going to use this flat bar, which is going to be the base on the fire extinguisher and on the tube. So I'm going to cut 2 6-inch pieces. And then I'm going to use this 1.5-inch flat bar. And I'm going to cut 3 5-inch pieces. So I only need those 2 pieces right there.
First thing I did was do the layout, mark out all my pieces where I need to cut them, put them in the vise, use my grinder to cut all the pieces, and this is going to get me started. And I'm just kind of gonna wing it and see how it turns out. I used a pair of vice grips to clamp them, then put them in the vise, and then I marked it off where I'm going to cut the corners just to kind of give it a little bit more design. And now that they're cut out, you can kind of see where I'm going. I'm going to notch out the top of the 2 pieces and notch out a couple spots on the bottom, and that's kind of where the clamps are going to go, and then the top piece is going to be notched out as well. Now I'm just going to drill a couple of holes, and one hole is going to be where a bolt's going to go through, and then the other hole will be made into the spring pin later on.
Those release were cut to accommodate for the strap, and now I want to cut that top groove in there to accommodate for the welding.
So now I got the bottom piece all machined up, and I'm just going to assemble it. I'm also putting 2 washers in there before I fit it up and weld it. That way, after it's powder coated and everything else, I will have the space needed for it to fit properly. So I'm just throwing it back in the mill and going to machine the slots for the hose clamp that I'm going to use to attach it to the fire extinguisher. So now that I got it bolted together, put it on the base, and now hopefully you can kind of see how this is going to go together. Going to use some welding magnets here just to kind of hold it in place while I get out the welder, and I'm going to first tack it and then weld it all up.
Bottom piece is welded up, just got a machine out right there where the clamp's gonna go, and then work on the top piece.
So now I'm back on the top piece. What I'm doing right now is cutting what I'm gonna call the hinge in, and this is what's going to slide into place and hold on to the bolt. And now the second part, I got the main base back in. I'm drilling the front hole out larger so it'll fit the pin from the spring T-handle there, and I'm just gonna fit it up and just gonna tack it into place. I left the T-handle in to tack it just so that I can get the alignment right, and then after I got it tacked, I removed the T-handle because it's plastic and it melts, and then just welding her in. And then lastly, the top piece I already had it tacked up, and now I am just welding that up. And I can start fitting it up, and you guys can kind of see how this is going to turn out now. Then of course, once everything was welded up, it was back to the mill to machine all the slots for the clamps. Everything's starting to look good. Sandblasted the parts, and now I can powder coat them. For little small parts, I love to powder coat them versus painting because you don't have to worry about the paint drying or anything else. Spray it down, toss it in the oven, let it bake, and you're good to go. And the powder coat that I'm using is Vegas Light by Prismatic Powders. And I like this one because it's got a lot of sparkle in it, as you're going to see pretty quick. You can kind of see the sparkle in the oven, but then when you take it out, when the light shines on it, it actually looks real cool. I think so anyways. Some people don't like it, but I do. And then there's the products I'll finish powder coating and somewhat assembled. I put a stainless screw in there, and you can kind of see how it hinges. And now you can kind of see how it's going to work with the spring T-handle there. Got one part attached to the fire extinguisher, and it's looking good. It's looking really good. This has been one of my favorite projects to do. I really enjoyed making this. So now you can kind of see what those slots were designed for. There we go, locked in place. Want to release it? Drops right out. Locked in place. Hey. And there you have it, the finished project. I hope I inspired you guys that you'll be able to build your own. You don't need a mill. You could use a grinder to cut those slots in too. I just used a mill because I had a bit that was the exact size I wanted, and it was easy to set up and do. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If any questions or comments, post them below. I'll see you in the next one.